sloppy if you're gonna go meet like Donald Trump or something. You're supposed to know that. At least I'm not Zelensky, but this is too big a dress shirt. I need the right collar size. When you're a portly guy, you gotta have them custom made. You can't just go off the rack again. I've got a size 16 neck, but I've got a big stomach right now. That's why I gotta get. When I was a little under 200 pounds, 190 thereabout, I would fit into off the rack kind of clothing. But right now, because I'm portly and I am, by the way. Tomorrow I'm going to feel a lot better. That lower respiratory tract infection is going away. It's not just the Mucinex that I am taking. Like I was keeping you updated on all of it. So I'm going to be well, and we're going to be able to run every morning before chores at 8 a.m. or before breakfast at 6 a.m. You have to get up. They wake you up, and you can stay if you want. But why the hell would you want to stay around that kind of vermin? This is not, the Black Panther said, it's about the shelter of people. This is not people. This is a place for rats, and so why would you want to stay there? And so you're going to get out of there and you're going to take a run, whatever it takes. And I don't want to take a phone. I don't want to take anything. I'm going to have my exercise shorts. I have my shoes. Why not make the best? By the way, already it always happens to me. I should have thought about it. It's just when I'm a bigger guy, the shoes start to wear down, and that means I'm really going to the next pair of running shoes I'm going to get are going to have to be the Hoka. That's my favorite. They're a little heavier, but they're really the ones you'd wear at the marathon. It's the Hoka Clifton. But I got the Brooks Ghost 17 already on the right side, and I'm wearing size 12.5. maybe I should have gone up a size 13 or down a size 12. I don't know. It's just the way I apply pressure. It's wearing down already, and I can feel it, and it's already going. It's eating into on the right foot all the way out on the outside part. I wish I knew the anatomical language like a kinesiologist, of course a medical doctor, to explain it, but you know what I'm talking about if you know. Long story short, my head, when it, why was I talking? I don't know what I was talking about. I don't like the way I look. So, look at this. I got to roll up. Like Tim Pawlenty said, encourage to stand. It's about rolling up your sleeves and getting the job done, like he said in that epic ad that Colbert had really done a great thing on. We have a couple minutes till the trolley gets here. But I wanted to talk about, do we talk about engineering and calculus, or do we talk about, okay, let's talk about Hawaiʻi Illuminati, and then we'll do that when we're on the train. I'm going to talk about that on the train, about Kirk Caldwell and was it Peter Carlisle, and things that were exposed in these debates, because Hawaii is a weird, slowed down, let's replicate, save it for the next video, and what it kind of did to people there, for better or worse, and why now everything's behind a paywall in Chicago and nobody can get all of the archived news reports and records of these debates. From what I can tell, and I'll confirm it and I'll put the links in, but that's for that video. Why can't I just stick to what I have to stick to? So we're gonna do that on the train. When I have this, someone has to start the camera for me. I need someone helping me. But let's talk about before we have to get on the train. I hear it coming. I finally got the book from the San Diego Central Library, the one I had put up and talked about. Reorder, can we reorder calculus? Calculus reordered. It's like we're going to reorder like the order from the universe, and so this is by David Brosseau. So if you put history in, of course, it ignites my penis. So it makes it interesting to learn. But I said, this is the stuff they need to be drilling into students in elementary. That's all there is to it. They've got these STEAM academies now, charter schools. Well, that's great, but this is what they need to be drilling into students in elementary. If they'd have given me this, it would have been everything. And here's why I think. So it's like, okay, I don't like it. I'm not multilingual. You got to be, go to Kamehameha schools. Make sure you learn Hawaiian if you're Hawaiian. Well, that doesn't help you if you come to, San Diego and you have to use spray bottle kind of person, because they give it to the people from Tijuana and they all speak Spanish. They give it to people that speak Spanish. You don't speak Spanish. It doesn't help to speak Hawaiian, except, so that's all, 30-year home loan, stay where you're at, get $1 million mortgage, don't go to somewhere cheaper and get a lot of money. Not good for you. Well, if I'm not the kind of person that's I'm the victim of this, they're not going to give me a job, and I wish I could be so badly CIA kind of person that speaks 5 foreign languages fluently, and that's always kind of how I imagine myself. Well, what do you do? Go to Defense Language Institute like Barbara Oakley? Calculus. I have a theory from Cartesian coordinates about how I could learn 5 foreign languages simultaneously in a period of a year with utter fluency, because I have very, very high proficiency in quantitative reasoning. And this has to do with, take a grid of 100, and it's just because it's easy. And so I'm an incomplete idiot with this stuff, but I just have the idea, if you were like a structural engineer or something like that, the problem, you're AutoCAD, you're gonna have to make what the face of a building is. This is the material we're going to use for the glass, the windows, how are they going to be fastened to whatever it is. And this is where curves matter, because, and that's why you have to know these programming languages and things like that. And all of that's integrated into this washer method, disk method of determining volume, you know, in a three-dimensional geometric shape. That all goes to, because everything's on a curve, so all of it's, you can't extricate one idea from another per se. Okay, how many windows do they have to be? How many, what's the height, what's the width of the individual pane of glass, and what is the support, you know, so this architect has a vision, but you got to make sure the thing doesn't blow away with the wind. And so, you know, you're going to move a slider around, and it's all run on, you know, programming, which is doing calculus, and it's gonna tell you, okay, so you're gonna go into AutoCAD, make sure this architect, you know, double check an architect's idea about something, change a few things, and consult with the architect. So you're gonna be in AutoCAD, and you're gonna be basing it on this, you know, program. Now it's all integrated. There's nothing you can't do, but you're gonna have a sound explanation for why. And a lot of it goes to also, what can they afford? Do they want this building to stand up for 100 years? Do they want this building to stand up for 1,000 years? It'd be great if we could build for 1,000 years, but you know, we'll put my name on a skyscraper and see, go from there, and suck as much money as we can. Already, in a lot of places, especially with like high rises that are, you know, so let's say real estate in Hawaii, Salt Lake. There's a place called Salt Lake. It's not central Oahu, like Mililani is central Oahu, but it's in a very good place for getting on a freeway one way or the other. And there's a lot of high rises there. It's within walking distance to the airport. Of course, there's a illusion in Hawaii that people have to be under to feel like it's big. So people have to get a cab, people have to get a Lyft ride, take their suitcases, or drive to the airport and park if they're one of these people that like to do it that way. They can't just walk. But if I were in Salt Lake, if I lived in Salt Lake, I could walk to the airport just as easy as to the Olelo public access television, so that I could have my own television show like that famous guy that talked about free energy. If everything on public access, they have to give homage to that free energy party program. Even on the Big Island, Hawaii Island, public access, there's a show called Energy, and this guy comes on. He's a big, you know, Hawaiian guy, and he talks slowly and he says, "Welcome to energy." But that's why they like that word energy on public access, because it all goes back to that pioneering program, Olelo, free energy party, free thinking, free energy, wheelchairing capitalism at the speed of light kind of stuff, because you have no clue what they can do, and they can do it. Believe me. I digress. But we're already hearing, and in Makiki also, there was a, of all people, he was Noel Fujii, who was the editor after Alex Bitter, the year that I had gone to UH West Oahu, and I'd still done consultancy, or rather, what they call it, what is it? I'm a correspondent, the Dateline West Oahu. It's again, that's one way that they make it seem like it's a separate world. There's West Oahu, and then there's downtown. There's West Oahu, and there's the second city. It's not like a 20-minute drive away on the freeway in good traffic. It's a world away, so that we can feel like we're in a big place, that we can get $1 million mortgage, 30-year mortgage, keep refinancing it, because, you know, we can live our lives on this island. There's still more to see. There's still another that deli, that Kananapai, a deli that they have in Lanikai, or Lanikai Jews, they have in Lanikai, like, you know, and the Green Deli, and Waimanalo, and downtown now, and it's all the, we'll never, they never heard of California, where you have to get on a Southwest Airlines plane to the Bay Area from LA, or San Diego from Sacramento. I mean, I think maybe you could, I've talked about this before, live your entire life never leaving the state of California, with the largest economy in the nation. And they always talk about it that way because it could break away. And people want California to fall into the Pacific Ocean and disappear because of the dynamics I was just talking about earlier. They won't give me a job. I'm an American with a spray bottle. That's a Mexican with a spray bottle. Oh, because they were raised bilingual, and they were an anchor baby, and they were taught culture, and they can play this CIA code switching game and feel all good about it, because just because their skin color is La Raza, guess what? I'm the one with the intellect, and I'm the one that knows the culture, and I'm sociology educated from high school. I'm from Tijuana. I'm from here too. You know, no, I'm an American with a spray bottle. I don't care what you say about anchor babies, and you're illegal also, and you're also an American. No, we don't have to make it easy for people to keep creating problems like you, so that someone like me can't have a job that isn't going to be multilingual because it ain't right, and we're in America and we speak English. So like I was talking about with, okay, you're gonna look at a programming application just doing the calculus, but it's telling you this is how all the windows gonna have to be. So you know how many floors the architect wants, and that's another thing that, you know, is part of a big moving equation with many moving parts too. It's back and forth with an architect sometimes. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So you're looking at one face of a building, and it's going to have this kind of window, this kind of look, this many windows, and you, of course, you know how many the units, but you know it's going to be done a certain way for a certain reason. A lot of it has to do with structural integrity, and structural integrity is probably not a good term to use because that's core to the building. The building's going to fall down. It's integrity of the window, so the wind comes by and it doesn't. You know, and it lasts at least 100 years, so they can suck enough money from the skyscraper, and then the wealth, which you can write an article about some of these buildings are just going to have to be demolished because after all these years, the structural integrity is going to become an issue, and they're going to have to keep, you know, they always have to keep shoring up and, you know, reinforcing the balconies and all of that because those are weak things, and it's stuck in the concrete there, and it just falls apart. And the kids are going to fall over the side of the balcony, so we have to do that every 25 years or something like that, or maybe 10 years or 15 years you'd have to do that. But structural integrity is a core thing, and even someone in residential real estate from the home inspectors, they have to call in the term engineer, engineer to come in with special equipment and the calculus in the brain to look at the foundation and say there's a big problem here, we're not going to be able to market this is not a marketable piece of property in the sense that the building is going to have to be taken down because we're not going to be able to sell this on the basis that someone can live, or you can sell this vacant land and put in there and you have to tear a building down. You know, things like that. Get a home inspection. But to that point, this is my hypothesis, and I'm gonna prove it, is on the basis of the grid of 100 or however many spaces you need in it. Okay, Greek, Latin, yeah, because that's what you're supposed to know to go to university. America became so retarded because English is good enough language as its carrier of the most important law, so we can't just go in front of a judge and speak English. And there's a couple Latin things which makes lawyers, and so, you know, if you're touching the Latin, that's the stuff that's like Illuminati, you know, that's because you can't, those are realities that the court exists. The black robe of the judge, as Santos Bonacci, the Mr. Astro theologist that didn't like to pay his tickets in Australia, and that, you know, you feel bad for him though, but he had good ideas about a lot of things, but these people all end up, because they're such geniuses, not being able to work and contribute to society. And so in Australia, you get something called you know, pension of some kind. I'll put what it is in the description, like SSI for someone like that. So if you don't own fourplexes, if you don't own strip malls, and you're someone like that likes to be creative and just be an urban shaman basically, and talk about how Pope Boniface and the Express Trust and, you know, the land being for the soldier. And by the way, what he's getting at is that rape is rewarded in capitalist countries, and that murder is rewarded in capitalist countries. There's a lot to it. You know, but in any event, as eye-opening as it is, he didn't pay his tickets and they kept putting him in jail. He's got all these explanations that the elites are trying to buy. You got to kind of tread lightly, since you're an elite, and you got to tread lightly because these people that are existing that can tell the cops, you know, put this guy away so he shuts up. You got to tread lightly. You got to, you know, make sure you pull your trolley pass out and say, oh, if he made a mistake and didn't scan her, so I'll get off and scan. It's always the homeless people that end up getting a ticket because they want to get off the train and okay, I'll scan it. And you know, they should try having some money. And that because I think correctly, and I know that, as much as I'm arguing with the fact that, you know, I'm an American with a spray bottle and these are anchor babies, and they should give the job to an American with a spray bottle. As much as I'm right about it, reality is reality. We're probably gonna have to get out of San Diego as soon as I can't afford a trolley pass. I'm that homeless guy thinking I'm entitled to someone feeling bad for me getting a ticket that I'm not gonna be able to pay. So now I've got to go door to door asking for money to flee San Diego. Someone would understand. So we got to start knocking now. Like Cardone said, "You're broke, son. Put your suit on," and that's what we're going to be doing. That's the plan we're going to be putting together. So hit 100 doors in a week, at least 100 doors. It's not a lot. I said if I can hit 1,000 doors, someone's going to give me something. I mean, cash, of course. If I hit a couple of doors, someone's going to give me $10. You know, you're knocking at the right place. You're thinking correctly. And if you've got a story like that, okay, we'll help you flee San Diego, but you're not going to be able to pay the ticket because you didn't have money to be on the train. You got caught. But, and that's another little interesting thing, is people that are constantly being nabbed by the police are just too slow. And I was that way when I was on medication. So, okay, how do we fight this? And I was thinking correctly, except for the fact I should have just thought, or there should have been some father figure there that said, how come my son isn't playing football? How come my son isn't bodybuilding? How come he isn't getting pussy? And he would have realized this medication is slowing him down to be everything that they said the medication was correcting. And the only problem was he needed pussy, and no one was there to realize, hey, he's pussy. What's wrong? He's having an outburst. He's going nuts in school, and he's either fucked up at home or he's fucked up in school. He's fucked up at home or he's fucked up inside of the school, either or. So why is it's always, and then behavior problems get better here, then it gets worse. You know, I mean, eventually you don't want your horse jism, you know, on your underwear. You want it, you know, this weird dynamic of, you know, mom knows what you're doing, but you know, but you know, then dad should have been there to say he needs to get that in where it's supposed to belong. Sometimes. So anyway, back to the thing about engineering and the grid of 100. What does this have to do with learning vocabulary from 5 foreign languages fluently? So again, I may have to come back here in 10 years, even if I can learn 5 languages in 1 year because of calculus and being very, very good at quantitative reasoning. I'm not making some esoteric claim about Jumanji, the Jew book, Gematria, or if you, by the way, if you look at the Freemason, I don't know anything about it, I gotta be honest. My dream was to be a Freemason. I've talked about this before, because Ron Paul, who I love, evolve, love, and then love spelled, you know, that's spelled, but they said, you know, remember that logo of Ron Paul, but that's a eugenic secret thing, like, you know, kicking people out and returning them to beyond, and bashing their heads in, you know, allowing the libertarian. One part of that is precisely, you know, the cognitive partitioning, to where I have the freedom not to be around people that suck. And that means I get to be put in a concentration camp in Father Joe's villages. So because you get to not be around people that suck and not marry me, I get put in a concentration camp. So there's always a balance. It's not about, so I said that G in the middle of, I said Ron Paul, his fraternity in college, because he went to that college, was it George Washington, or the one in Washington, D.C., or American, you know, something like that. I'll put it in the description. Knowledge is incomplete stuff. I should know. I wish I were Richard. Richard Nixon was damn good. His wife was hot, by the way. His wife was eugenic. Patricia Nixon, you take one look at her, so you just lift that dress up and grab a whiff of that beef. That's American perfection. But Richard Nixon was a lawyer, but was a genius, and he studied for the presidency and really understood all of it. And he was the guy that got the work done. All in all, the sad thing is he didn't just hold on to it. He's someone that should have held on to it. Fuck Woodward and Bernstein. They're worthless, complete losers. But he decided, basically, because he was such a lover of humanity. He was. Republican, California. Don't forget about Richard Nixon. There was Ronald Reagan, the great keeper. He's got that. He's entombed in his, you know, shrine there up in LA. But, you know, Richard Nixon, don't forget about Richard Nixon, because absolute, you know, and of course he had, it's a big new, since Joe Scarborough's the rich dad of the one, he gets to pull the dress up and, you know, right on TV in front of everybody with Mika there on MSNBC. Woo! But anyway, so
Mission Valley.
You kind of see how this is going to be the answer to me not being full CIA, being able to be so good at Spanish proficiency and fluency that they can't tell me I'm not one of the people there. But of course, but this is the truth. this is why they have to give you a job. But this is the truth, where you have to go to a rural town and talk about how you can't make it to San Diego because we were raised correctly and we speak English in America. And you know, we weren't raised by delusional parents that were from a place that wanted to make it easy for Mexicans to have anchor babies. So let's all merge and let's put Spanish on. You know, let's make it literally the official language of San Diego. Let's put it on all the signs, on the trolleys and on the buses, so that people that speak Spanish can come in here and work. But for someone, you have to go to a rural town and play the victim of it and be among people with your IQ, with your ability level, and not speak the language and stay away from it. Because so what are we gonna? I'm a person because I can't live with that. I'm not full CIA. I'm attracted to these dangerous CIA kind of women, you know, that nowadays it's not KGB, it's other things, a lot of things, but that can, despite their skin color, if you don't look at what they look like, I mean, for whatever reason, they can, you know, and a lot of them are MI5 to the CIA, MI5, but they, James Bond, these Bond girls, they can speak the King's English and they can speak the one on the other side of the pond too. I'm like, so suddenly now she's got these boots on, and you would never guess that she's English. Yeah, because she's speaking American English with that Southern twang, and German with absolute utter. There's a lot of Germans and languages, but with utter perfection for the region. You would never guess. And when she's in France, I mean, this is the level to which they can hone in. And that is IQ, because again, just like with that, they're talking about the grid of 100 for learning vocabulary. What does that have to do with learning vocabulary? Is it starting to make sense to you? You know, like with Riemann sums, I guess. We hit a limit, but there's like I'm nuts on fractals, and indeed, people with higher IQs that are more intelligent have a clearer. They've got a clearer picture. So that's why you can use fractals as an example, because that's for the world graphics card. You know, for video games, okay, if you have lower hardware, you can have a crappier definition. You can still play the game. If you've got better hardware, it looks a lot better. It looks a lot better. So you can still speak the languages with crappier hardware, but now you can start to, you know, the dialect and perfecting the glottal with the, you know, the weird alphabet. It's not Cyrillic, even though some of the symbols look like that. But the linguists have their own alphabet system, and it corresponds to an exact sound. And tongue placement and glottal and the lips, and you know, you look at the old English, you know, if you look at like Beowulf, the way they were, you know, and it's what's called black letter. It was the way it was written. They put another curly Q there, and it's down on the line, so they knew it was kind of a similar sound, but this is more boom. So we'll make it double. It looked a little like a backwards German double S, but yeah, go look at the black letter anyway. So now we're gonna move on to the next video. So we're gonna put this up.